And so I went to visit them, and mashallah, they were very accepting. And I think it was because 2 years prior to that, I did have some Muslim friends who, when they came and visited, I didn't realise at the time, but they were having a long conversation with my father outside on the balcony. And my father had actually been eased up from that conversation from my friends. So when I came to him and said to him that I'm choosing Islam for my path, basically it was, if that's what's good for you, then it's good for me. If it makes you happy, go for it.
SubhanAllah, so that conversation really sort of removed the doubts you had about Islam.
It did, and I think he had the doubts from the media, and SubhanAllah, it was like Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala was preparing me for this. He prepared my father, alhamdulillah, to be able to accept it for me and allowed me to not have issues in that.
That's really good, alhamdulillah. I think a lot of people coming into Islam are not as lucky as you were, Kerri. I think many people have problems with their family when they do try to convert, Mohammed.
My mum's a revert, alhamdulillah, and very similar story to Kerri. We maintain our relationship with her family. We visit them often. They come over. We have our social barbecues. But she knows of a lot of other revert friends who have had it tough. And I mean, one family's literally said, "Do not call me back." One of the sisters reverted. She's got 4 other sisters and a few brothers, and their family wants nothing to do with her. She's put on the hijab as well. Beautiful husband, beautiful kids, but no contact. So alhamdulillah, it is a blessing that you and same situation as my mother can still maintain that contact, because we know Islam is a very family orientated path, and families it's a foundation of life.
And subhanallah, like in saying that, with the family, I didn't think I appreciated my family enough prior to Islam. Now I realize how important your mother is and your father is, and I don't know how I'm ever going to be able to repay them for everything they've done. Alhamdulillah, Islam allows you to see that. It's truly a blessing. But yeah, I do know a lot of sisters that probably would have gone through a lot of problems, and I have heard of stories that they've been exiled from their family, no one wants anything to do with them, and brothers as well. But yeah, definitely it can be a hard struggle.
What other challenges do you feel other reverts are facing? I mean, how about your friends? Did they keep contact with you? Were they accepting? Were they sort of thinking, well, she's changed path completely and they've left you in the dark? Or what happened with your friends?
Well, the friends from Melbourne, I really don't talk to anymore. But the funny thing is, that wasn't because of Islam. That was just the move. It wasn't. Obviously, there wasn't enough time there for us to develop a long-term friendship. But the funny thing is now, some people have actually made contact with me again after Islam and after the scarf. So subhanallah, that's just happened recently. But other than that, no, everyone was pretty accepting of it. I think I had one friend that was a bit standoffish. She was a Lebanese Christian, but at the same time, she called me yesterday. She's still 100% there for me. If I need her, if she needs me.
And how important did you find it to have a support network? Like, did you have a support network when you first came into Islam?
Well, when I first came into Islam, like I said, a friend of mine who gave me the Quran advised me of this sister who would come and see me every Sunday and basically teach me from the beginning. So I went to the mosque and she started teaching me. The first thing I did was take the Shahada, although I did take the Shahada the day prior with my friend. But I wanted to do it again formally in front of a sheikh. And so I did that the next day, and she basically sort of helped me through finding, the right path, what it is that I was supposed to do. She talked to me about, the major sins and whatnot. And as time progressed and as I learned more and more, alhamdulillah, I knew what I could sort of buy from the bookshop, and I had that drive to be able to go out and find what it is that I need. And she did help me as well, alhamdulillah, in regards to communicating with the other sisters, other communities, and opened up my path to Islam. Alhamdulillah, everyone was very accepting.
Alhamdulillah.
Then I became part of an organisation called ANMA, which stands for Australian New Muslim Association, which is for reverts. And, being a revert myself, it was really beneficial to them to have me on the committee. And so we now we sort of do that, different events for reverts. But I think it is something that needs to be more out there. We need more events. We need more, support
awareness,
networks for the reverts. Because I know there are a lot of people that, don't have necessarily the same drive because they've been through a lot of issues that, they need help and they need that guidance and they need that friend.
It's interesting that you mentioned that, because I remember in the Sydney Morning Herald about 2 months ago there was an article in which Silma Ihram and a UTS lecturer in Islamic law were actually talking about how although reverts are initially welcomed when they first become Muslim, after that it seems like they're kind of overlooked, or, you know, people take it for granted that now they're Muslim, they seem to consider them as though they're in the same position as a Muslim who is born and raised that way, whereas really they still need the continuous support for quite a while after that. So, I mean, I guess an organisation like the one you just mentioned would probably, that's where it would step in.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I mean, that's what we provide. The organisation provides that. We provide, one-on-one with sisters that have a lot of issues, and you can be able to just, let out whatever it is that you need to let out. And we also provide a TUI, which is called Towards Understanding Islam. And this is a lesson that happens every week. And, we send out SMSs, we send out emails, and we, try to bring as much awareness to it as possible, but there's only so much you can do. But alhamdulillah, you do see a lot of people come through, people interested in Islam, people that have already reverted, and it just allows them to have that, support network and knowing that you've got a friend there.
And this is for brothers as well as sisters?
Yes, it's for brothers and sisters, yeah.
Right.
It's amazing to hear of someone who was on the other side of the spectrum. I mean, from a non-Muslim coming to a Muslim, and I think you'd know that we have a lot of pressure on ourselves as Muslims to be da'is, as in propagate Islam, promote it through our actions and our speech in the workplace, at university or TAFE or college. And you have that experience being a non-Muslim, being on the other side of the fence, and then you've come and you've seen, one of my friends described Islam as gold, and when he's seen the gold, he immediately ran for it, and he reverted, alhamdulillah. So it's an advantage having the other side, isn't it?
It is, alhamdulillah. And in saying that, when you talk about the other side, one thing that, mashallah, is an amazing blessing, alhamdulillah, is Ramadan. I think we sort of overlooked that in the sense that when I first had my very first day of fasting, subhanallah, I never felt happiness like I did that day in my previous life. Like, I was living a life, alhamdulillah, I was happy, I was moving along, didn't really have any ambitions or at knowing what it was that I wanted to do after, or, knowing what my hereafter was. I was sort of living for this life. And subhanallah, I think that first day of Ramadan really woke me up, because alhamdulillah, I reverted maybe a couple of months before Ramadan, but when I did come to the first Ramadan, subhanallah, that day was amazing. I've never felt happiness like that, and I think that we sort of overlook that over time when we come further and further into our deen, and our iman goes up and down. We forget about the important things and how Islam really is a blessing.
Okay, well, Kerri, this brings us to the end of the interview, but do you have any final words or suggestions or advice that you'd like to impart to our listeners?
Just don't be afraid to ask questions. If you're coming into Islam and you've got that standoffish because you've been burnt, or you've been a bit upset, or something's happened, don't be afraid to reach out. And also from the other side, we need to be able to show people that we're there to help. Show people that through walking through the streets, it's as simple as a smile, it's as simple as salaam alaikum to someone that you don't know. It just shows you that you've got a friendly nature, and someone can come up and talk to you. If we don't have people that we can talk to, then how are we going to be able to ever face any of the issues that we have? How are we ever going to be able to let out what it is that's a burden upon us? And that's, I think, what reverts really need. They need someone that they can just talk to.
Wise words. Jazakallah khairan for joining us on the program today, Kerri. We wish you all the success in your future endeavours.
Inshallah. Jazakallah.
And right now we'll be heading to a break, inshallah, listening to The Y Factor on 87.6 FM.
The Y Factor.